I'd love to just get some feedback on this idea of what a plan looks like or what constitutes a plan.
So I would start with the fact that if you're going to offer tech solutions, especially in the high vol, you really do need proper engineering up front. It's an investment. The reason it doesn't get done is most guys don't want to spend the money for it, but the reality is if you don't spend the money for it, you're going to spend the money for it later. And to get it done up front, you're going to really give yourself better opportunity to really streamline the process during construction, keep from getting anything that's slowing down your projects, and you're also going to get better pass-through sales capabilities to all your upgrade packages for your clients. So. In the end, spending that time and money up front and getting everything properly engineered, getting proper construction drawings, and getting some pre-designed packaging and everything else that you can offer as an upsell opportunity pays for itself over and over again just by having that capability for those projects.
So what do you think, that's the conceptual at the high level. I think we're all starting to sync on it. And then now it's like specifically, what is it? Does this make sense?
That makes total sense. That makes total sense. The biggest thing that we have to engineer is the infrastructure itself. So the thing that everybody still hasn't caught on to, and I deal with builders in all different markets and all different levels, is that technology is no longer an option, it is now a utility. Specifically for networking and audio and video and those things, there isn't a house that goes in that the client doesn't want Wi-Fi. It should be the same as power. If you don't already have it planned and built into your home, then you're missing a utility. So it's like, let's build a house without water. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm with
right?
you. Those are that's the motherhood and apple pie.
Yeah.
But we got to start working on the specifics. Is this too much? Does there need to be?
As far as engineering is concerned, absolutely not. You should have all of those details handled.
What do the builders think?
Well, you could probably add more items to that list.
Okay.
Because, for the builders out there, a lot of us have our sales team take a mini floor plan, right, and draw on it and say, hey, you need this over here. And so we looked at that and said, there has to be a better way to do it. And then the timing of that. So, for us, the design studio process, the high voltage, low voltage has to happen before framing. Because what this is illustrating is the impact. If you can identify one location for your structural can, some buyers need 2 or 3. Well, the framers have to frame that in. We're designing in now AV rooms that have proper ventilation. That includes your HVAC provider. The whole infrastructure to manage. And you're looking at 2 sometimes different trades because you have electricians and low voltage providers. And they have to communicate. So we took a real strong approach that if the integrator has the ability to do both high voltage and low voltage, it's their responsibility to come up with the structural drawings well in advance of construction. If we don't have that, we hire a third party. That 20% savings, that's what we spend, 20% to hire a third party company to provide that documentation. What we've learned is tremendous amount of savings on rework where the customer's like, I didn't know. So I think it's spot on, and it's something that I think we need to adopt, and your point's well taken. Low voltage now is a utility. Mm-hmm. You have to have that infrastructure, and especially with Dish. I mean, we're running conduit because we don't know. The customer's not making a decision, prior to us framing the home, hey, I'm going to have, wired or wireless service to the home.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Ken and the rest of the panel said. But one thing I'd add maybe on the section about the plans is that not only do we need to specify which items are going to be installed at which stage, but also who is doing it. Because on some of these elements, there could be an option. Like we said, maybe it's the electrician that's installing it. Maybe the HVAC contractor is installing the thermostat. Maybe it's the integrator. And figuring those scopes of work out and making sure we understand who's doing which components is important.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great point because motorized blinds It's always a war between the electricians and the low voltage guys. You know, who's installing them? Well, we'll give you this community, but then you're going to get this community. All right, well, when I'm running low voltage wire, you need to give me drops to the windows, and then the electrician puts in the low voltage items. So it's a great point.
Doesn't that come back to, though, who owns the design? Who does if you own the design, if you leave the design to a trade contractor that has a vested interest, then it's going to be a fight, right? But if you guys own the design, and you may be sourcing the design from integrators, but it's your design, that puts you in a position to make the calls on who's doing it, instead of being at the mercy of who's doing it because they did the design work. Is that right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, we don't want to own it. I mean, Justin leads our sales team. We use a company. You talked with Paul at Atera. We'd rather have an agnostic third party design.
Yeah.
And work on the behalf of HVAC, the framers, the electricians, the low voltage, and we kind of wash our hands from it because they're the experts that are integrating that process with all the trades.
But you're in control of that design. You have third parties that develop it for you.
Correct.
But then you're administering that design will be implemented. Is that accurate?
Correct. Because that design goes to everybody. It goes to our MPO group. It goes to our, all the trades that are impacted. It goes to our field staff, our sales team. We match it up with our Salesforce system when we're generating the contracts. So it's really that whole universe of the process.
Frank, did you want to get in here? You're making a lot of head movements, so let's.
Well, our piece of it is more on infrastructure for the whole community
Yeah.
as opposed to in the home.
Yeah, but you have so much experience in the home itself, so I'm
absolutely.
interested in your perspective. You're a former custom integrator, et cetera.
Well, all this rings true, and it's great to see this is actually a discussion at an event like this, because 15 years ago when we were working in the Southeast in this business, it was hard to get this conversation on the table with a lot of our builder contacts. So I think we've come a long way. The fact that it's formalized and we're having this discussion is evidence of progress.
It's a straw man to formalization. We ain't there yet, right? This is just like the stalking horse.
Well, for Dish, stapling cable on the outside of your home. Don't know if that's what the customer's expectation were when they bought.
That's right.
Is that unaesthetic design?
It's just,
Great example of that. Yeah.
hey, it's running right down your eave. It looks great.
Nobody
Well,
wants zip ties on
But
their
it's
downspout.
you custom color that stuff though now, right?
No,
Can't you do?
we work with the builder and the
You
integrator
do a
to
nice
make sure
mint
it's
green cable? No?
all in the wall now.
Okay.
in the wall.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, it'd be like the electricians running an extension cord down the side of the home.
Right. Nobody wants that.
This is the idea of the trade collaboration captured here, and I think this is some process steps. One is, kind of go to your merchandise plan, and you can't engineer everything, right? So it's your standard, it's your options that you think you're going to have a 50% or better take rate on is what I'm throwing out there. That presumes that you actually have a concept of what your take rates will be on. You actually can set some goals on take rates on that, which I think you can do because you're tracking take rates historically and you've got an idea of what's going to sell. Not every builder out there, but let's say we did that work and we have a good, educated guess as to which things are going to sell well based on consumer demand and us having a strong offer. That's the stuff that needs to be ID'd for design and engineering.
Well, the other thing on take rates is you have to take a look. I mean, you have to demonstrate the ROI on it and the profit per home. And so to say as a builder, hey, we're going to give 20% of total low voltage and electrical to a third party company, well, how do you make that up? And what we saw is the revenue just jumped extremely high. And so when you take a look at those metrics, I think most builders would find out you're making more money by investing that time up front, doing the engineering, than afterwards. And then the other thing that we talked about earlier It's the rework where the customer said, I didn't know. And if they're looking at an engineered plan, well, they did know. It's better than the pen and paper, 60 inches above finished floor.
Yeah. So other points in here is get those cutoff dates established. Understand what the dates for finalizing orders are in terms of you being able to acquire product and actually I know that that's a moving target right now in almost every trade sector, but to the best of your ability to set that stuff. Just point 3 here, your tech integrator subcontractor should be part of your key subcontractor trade team. I hope everybody who's at this event feels that way. I'm sure that not every builder feels that way. I feel, like tech integrator has been second-class citizens, and we just need to elevate them alongside the other contractors. Hold a kickoff planning meeting with all of the affected parties. I'm proposing 60 to 75 minutes. As a lot of this is motherhood and apple pie. It's just like establish the importance, say there will be order and we will resolve issues, set up communications channels, and then just stay on top of it, of the team that's working on it. And I think that's important, is that the builder stay on top of all of the trades that need to collaborate for this to work, because the tech trade can't be in isolation. That's what we're saying. From a design perspective, it needs to be a layer, but it also needs to be integral with the other trades in order for us to get that right. So that's the kind of the production planning.
Which takes you back to the engineered designs. If you've got the engineered designs, you've allocated what needs to be handled by which trade contractor.
Yep.
Everybody knows what their part of the job is.
Yep.
And more importantly, your construction managers know what each one of those trade contractors' job is, because it's detailed in the engineering documents.
Yep.
So they know who needs to be called in to get these things resolved, rather than fighting over, is it the low volt guy or the high volt guy or whatever that was supposed to fix that, who do we call, right? If you've got that pre-engineering done already, they've got it in their hands, they know exactly which contractors are responsible for which part of the project.
All right. I'm going to skip this slide. So I mentioned Sean. Sean actually did work in Louisville with some of the builders, and you were part of that panel. And I wanted to take some of this concept work and just show it as an example of what an integrator could do. He put together a kind of a design scheme for a high-volume builder for a community of about 125 homes. That's the scope of the products. These are samples of the engineering drawings that would be generated based on the packages, standard and otherwise, that would be offered with the different models in the homes. I wanted to show this because we were talking about sell-through. The AV category is one where a lot of folks feel like they could just buy it at retail. But when you have engineering drawings like this, where you could see what's behind the walls, that the sound fields and the vision fields have been thought through, now you're cooking with gas. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but
No, I think it's important. Those are the points that allow the sell-through with the builder versus them saying, yeah, just put wire in my walls and I'll deal with it after the fact because it's costing me more money. Yeah. But if it's pre-engineered and this is sitting there in front of their face and they see all the details that are put into making it happen, they get that they're paying an upcharge for it because you can't get that from Best Buy.
Yep.
Well, and the good thing to do is show them pictures of people that put a rack in a closet with 50 cable trunk line going into it,
Sure.
the heat that it produces, but hey, we put it on wheels so you can move it around if you need to organize your closet. I mean, that's what, we're doing that today, right? All of us. The next evolution is you have to identify those locations. It's respect to the other trades that you're looking at in the initial design of the home,
Yep.
which starts well before you build anything.
Yep. I think these are other design areas where you can show the consumer value, right? It's like Wi-Fi. We keep talking about you need high quality Wi-Fi with wireless access points and things like the Luxel tracking so that people are getting the strongest signal available, you got to show that, right? And so like these heat maps are, I think, a good selling tool, and they're a good implementation tool. The other drawing there is camera zones. So everybody thinks that they're their own camera installer. Not everybody is strategic about the sight lines and how to integrate all that stuff from a surveillance or just observation standpoint. So that's, showing expertise and value for camera zones. And so here is the scope of work. There's actually, Sean wrote me a proposal to Galante Custom Homes, which does not exist and will never exist, because I just want to talk about what you guys do. I don't want to do it. Because I grew up with a father who used cedar shims to fix it was duct tape or cedar shims. That's my limitation. So I don't want to do it. But he wrote this to Galante Custom Homes. Here's the scope of work, right? So there's a lot of stuff in here. There's the determination of what the packages would be based on the target market, the merchandising and marketing deliverables, what goes into the model home, the options packages, coordination with interior design, contractor requirements for all these folks that need to be collaborated with, a project management piece. So this is design and engineering from a company that also does installation, but they're not going to do the install nationally, right? But they will project manage, they will help the builder select the job site labor and subcontractors who can actually do the work. And there's the pricing on it. So there's an hourly rate of $200 for someone like Sean at the partner level, and $100 to $150 per hour for the Bravas staff. And then these estimated prices within that scope of work. So it's like, oh my God, $26,000. Well, that would be stupid if it was one home, right? But if you're spreading this over 125 homes, it's $208 per home. And if you could make an additional $2,500 in option sales and you're bringing 30% of that down to the bottom line, you're going to make $100,000 more on that community, and you're also saving on rework. So this is a prototype, unproven proposal and ROI justification, but I think it's in the vicinity of what the ROI would be. And we need to do more work I don't know whether you're doing this sort of analysis, Ron?
So the analysis that they gave is actually pretty accurate, but it does not take into consideration how much your sell-throughs, your additional packages can create. There's a small amount that he has in there for that.
He's got
but
2,500.
Yeah, and I can tell you that our average is more like 15 to 20,000 on
a high volume home?
On a high volume home. We're averaging somewhere between 15 and 20,000. Some of them are $2,000. They're pretty small on upgrade.
This is about lift beyond. If you didn't do the design and engineering, you'd get 2% is basically what Sean was saying. And if you did the design and engineering, you'd be more in the 3 to 5% range. And for kind of modestly priced, I think these are like $500,000 homes that he was looking at. He's looking at an additional $2,500, which isn't chump change.
No, that's a good value, and it's a good opportunity to. And I think that if you have the right engineering and you have the right low voltage contractor that's handling your upgrades, or you've got a really good sales team, some builders are doing it internally. Some builders are bringing in a low voltage contractor to do those walkthroughs with a client to do the upgrade sales. Depending on who's doing that, you can absolutely blow right through those numbers and create a significant amount of additional profit.
The other thing, by what we found out by using a third party, they give you market rate. So, as builders, we get a cost from a trade and then we put a margin on it, whatever that margin is, 30, 40, 50% from a builder. But are you setting the margin on the proper amount? And what our third-party company helped us understand is hey, you're charging way too less for this item, way too much for that item, and then you start getting into what we talked about as take rates. So then you can balance out, because really what you're looking at is revenue per transaction. What's my revenue per home? Not revenue on the community, per home. And when you're getting great information from your partners, it makes you more profitable as a builder.
Yeah.
That's also a moving target, right?
Oh yeah,
Prices of categories and items
they
change.
shift all the time.
Every CES reset.
What do you feel about, is this a good, I mean, I'm not asking about the specific numbers, but does it look like a good scope of work and a good basic analysis on the ROI?
I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
I think we're paying too much.
Of
Justin, we're
course,
gonna call-
of course.
No, I think it's excellent, and it's good knowing the numbers going into it, because it's hard to sell to your team, hey, we're going to try this, it should work.
Yeah.
But when you have the experience of Bravas coming in and really guiding builders through the process, it makes it much easier to adopt.
What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that maybe needs to be added to this is not to underestimate the importance of training of the sales team. Even if there's a third-party integrator that's going to largely be responsible for managing the upgrade process, I think the folks that are in the model home that are making that first contact with the buyers have to be able to tell us the story of how tech in the home can really improve their lifestyle.
Yep.
And my experience with most salespeople is they're comfortable doing that, talking about a cabinet upgrade or a backsplash upgrade, but they're intimidated as hell to talk about tech. So we've got to get them comfortable with that, and we've got to get them able to tell stories around the use cases where technology can really help the buyer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how rigorous he's talking about going here, but in the project discovery summary of bullets there, he's got marketing elements of included systems and sales training and model home demo scripting. So there's light forms of that and there's rigorous forms of that, and you guys do a lot of that stuff, but I think there's a recognition of it, and whether this is realistic pricing for what you're looking for or not is a kind of an open question.